My name is Eric, and today we have a very, very special guest right here. But before I do that, just let me share with you what is this episode about. So this is our very first episode of AML. So what is AML? Ask my leader. So in this content itself, we'll start off with our very first guest, which is our founders of GoodWhale, Jun Xian.
Hello.
Hi, so Jun Xian, can you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So, my name is Jun Xian. I am co-founder and chief product officer of GoodWhale. I'm not sure if you're familiar with GoodWhale, but I guess like the long and short of it is GoodWhale was created to liberate and democratize financial literacy. Financial literacy is a topic that is very close to all of our hearts. I think the team and I, we are vested in making sure that this is freely available to as many people as possible. So, yep, we started GoodWhale. We have two apps. One is a GoodWhale app, a stock analysis app that is freely available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And we have a community app called GoodWhale Community that likewise is also freely available on both the Play Stores. Yeah, I guess a little bit of background. I'm Singaporean, but I was born. I have a Malaysian father and a Singaporean mother. I think like many of us here, yeah, a local graduate. So I graduated from the business school. Subsequently, I've worked in different kind of industries, but I think the more meaningful one would be the tech industry. Yeah. So I've been VC. I think there was a time where that was kind of like a very interesting field and it was up and coming. So like many people here, like I was very interested in understanding kind of like how to understand and value companies, specifically technology companies. I had the opportunity to then work with a bunch of very, very capable individuals to launch like different tech products. So started in e-commerce, went on to do like a fintech platform, basically an investment platform, worked in cybersecurity as well, supply chain logistics tech, log tech basically. And yeah, currently like working on GoodWhale, which we hope to be like a socially conscious, impact-driven product and company.
Yeah, thanks, Jin Xian. So, what maybe I just share with the audience right here. Why are we starting this Ask My Leader series? So, in terms of investing, we believe that there's this 3R approach: right business, right management, and right numbers and valuations. So, we believe in really understanding not just the business model itself, and also the people behind the business. Why? Because eventually, although there's a lot of AI happening behind, eventually all the business are driven by people. And who is the key person of driving these people? Obviously, is the management, CEO, COO, all the key leaders in the industry. So for myself, Chin Sen is one of my leaders. So I
We have
really like
different job
to
scopes.
really like to dig his mind right here for my own benefit, also for you guys who are watching this. So one of the first questions that I have right here is, what you like to achieve from running GoodWhale?
It's kind of a good question. I mean, GoodWhale, I think GoodWhale was also born out of necessity. Yeah, to narrate a little bit, like GoodWhale actually was created with like our previous corporate backer. Yeah, and our corporate backer is from the seminar industry. Yeah, but obviously, as we know, like markets change, right? And then there was an opportunity for some colleagues like Will from our Taiwan team is also like very actively involved in this. Like, yeah, he's our CEO actually. Like, there's an opportunity for us to kind of like take this and run this project independently. Yeah. So with the blessings of our corporate backer, we came out and then I think with the understanding of what we wanted to achieve, we thought about the brand and GoodWhale, right? If you guys know, like, so our partner's name is basically called Will.
GoodWhale.
Yeah. And I mean, we also wanted like the brand to correctly represent our DNA, right? And our vision and our belief system. So yeah, we thought deeply about it, and I think we all agreed that this was the name and the direction that we would like. So GoodWhale as a brand was born, backed by a vision, right, to really empower people with not just financial literacy, but also with like personal empowerment and to form good habits to as many people as possible. So yeah, so the brand was formed, the vision was formed, and then the team, right, was kind of like next. Yeah, I think unlike maybe the typical tech startup, right, whereby we fundraise and then with sufficient resources, we're able to quickly hire up a team. GoodWhale, we want it to be a different kind of company. Like we want it to be like, like sustainable and we want it to be impactful. So we took our time, or we continue to take our time, and then yeah, we talk to more people, more like-minded team members, and we are growing our team like bit by bit. Yeah, but I think we want to be very cognizant and careful about the people we work with, specifically because of the kind of company that we aspire for GoodWhale to be. Yeah, so yeah, so Eric and I like work together on this because we have a common vision for what we would like to share with the world.
So in terms of like driving GoodWhale, what is the key thing that you will be looking for, like in terms of like driving the business? Is there any things that you would put more attention to it, or you would put more effort into growing this?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That's a good question. And this is honestly something that I am also trying to either get better at or to figure out. Yeah, for many of the previous kind of projects that I've worked with, like, or had the chance to lead, like, we were extremely metrics driven. I would say maybe the core driver of what we would deem to be business value or business valuation, right, would be growth. Yeah, and that was first and foremost, that was like the North Star, right? And then everything that could lead to growth was basically like supporting things, right? Because the North Star is growth. If we fast forward to maybe like what GoodWhale is, this is something that I guess like for myself and for the rest of our team, we have to be very deliberate about not single-mindedly chasing after growth or market share or revenues, right? Just for the sake of it. Yeah, we really want to focus back, like kind of like quieten down and focus back on the users. How exactly can we help each and every user? We have to intimately understand what they care about, how, a day in a life looks like, what, like the 1 year progress would look like, and what each month, each week, and each day should look like in terms of progress. Yeah, if we start focusing on those things instead, these are not conventional, like business metrics that are maybe you'll read in a chairman's report, lah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's kind of like counterintuitive because when we look at business, like investing in companies, a lot of time we will really want the management to share with us like what is your KGA growth, like how is your retention rate, all sort of like business metric to judge whether the business is doing well or growing well.
Yeah.
From your point of view, it's more of like really go back to the fundamentals, understanding what is the you call it user or communities they are looking for.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is the things that you would be focusing on like in growing this community then?
So like I think like Eric, you've correctly kind of mentioned this model actually is community driven, right? And community is the foundation and the driving force behind meaningful engagement and meaningful growth. Yeah. So kind of like really focusing on community needs, community culture, and then empowering the community so that we can give the community a voice becomes very key. It's not that we do not believe in business metrics. We are just cognizant about which one we should put first, right? There are phases to it. And given that GoodWhale is a very, very young company, yeah, we want to make sure that, we get our footing right first. And the right footing for a community-based business is to have an intimate understanding and relationship to build trust and cadence with the members of our community. Yeah, and we believe that with this, we build a better foundation, and then that would be a springboard for growth and engagement. Yeah, but we don't believe in chasing, back solving for revenue growth like right from the onset. That might kind of like distract us or lead us down a path that does not align with our vision.
Wow, I think this is very profound. And then I also read quite a few books about business focusing on their customer or their products. So for example, I read this book, Conscious Capitalism. He's talked about the supermarket, the Whole Food supermarket in US. So for them, they don't like to be like maybe Walmart or the other players Target. They are just like selling cheapest products, sourcing cheapest stuff for their customer. So for them, it's like they would really put a lot of emphasis on the source of the food because they thought that by understanding the source of the food, the food they are more like organic is like really grow with consciousness. Then the users that come in when they buy it, they will know this is from good source, it's from reliable source, and they can eat with confidence and with like sense of security. So I guess from what I heard just now is also along the line whereby
Yeah.
we want our community to know that they are here, they can learn things that they want, they can grow together. This sense of community in terms of growing their finances together.
Maybe I'll just like add on to that as well. Like, so the understanding community is paramount. And I think, I mean, I just had this like thinking when you were sharing about Whole Foods. I think it's also important to understand or be confident and comfortable about what we represent to ourselves. Yeah, there's so many business models out there, right? And then, we could always say that, no, we want to be the Amazon of ABC, or we want to be the Tesla of what, right?
Yeah,
So,
the next Google.
right, yeah. But it's also I guess like in today's, I mean, the markets are a little bit like it's not as hot as it used to be, right? And that gives us like room to maybe be be more patient, right, in the way we build our business. Yeah, and with that patience, there is maybe more room for innovation and self-discovery. Yeah, and what I think is like very key for us is that we become a business that represents the team, right? Our collective belief, our collective culture and DNA. Yeah, so Whole Foods, I mean, they could compete on like low cost, but I think they had probably had a certain degree of conviction about what they believe to be, what kind of food that they would like to eat, right? And they believe that, there must be more people like them, right, that would be willing to pay for this kind of service or this kind of food that's sourced in this way, right? So I think like for us as well, like inherently we are like men on street, right? I would say we're everyday people, we are noodle folk, if you will.
Noodle folk, okay.
It's me anyway.
I thought we are rice folk 饭桶.
So but like and then I think one thing that as we were conceptualizing Goodwill, right? Like or one thing that maybe I personally struggle with as a maybe just like a professional, a career professional, I there's like so many different kind of like I guess like information that we receive through YouTube, through blogs, and a lot of it is very sensational. There's like a lot of news that's coming out, it's very exciting. Yeah, but actually I think my key angle is I'm trying to align my personal values with my personal finance. Right? I want to be responsible with my savings. Right? I want to get into a habit of with the right frameworks to be able to do this like throughout my career for a long term and kind of like build up my nest egg that way. I'm not exactly like looking to strike lottery suddenly and win. I'm looking more to words like personal growth, personal productivity, and definitely personal financial productivity. Right? I want to be good at what I do. I want to be conscious of what I do. Yeah, but I am not a full-time trader, nor am I trying to get rich that way. Like, because I enjoy what I do, like my day job. Yeah, so with that, actually, maybe the advice and the kind of investing I should be doing has to have a different kind of flavor, right? It's a different kind of blend, and it might not be the kind that we are used to seeing, through social media, which is very exciting, right? Yeah, maybe this kind of investing is more patient, more responsible, and a little bit more boring. Yeah, but it might be the right advice. So yeah, think that there must be room for this kind of conversation. There must be a community of like-minded people, right? Like you and I. Yeah, and hopefully with the right community, we can keep each other focused, especially during market ups and downs. Keep each other kind of like also encourage lah, right? When markets go down, that hey, like there is room for active investing, there's room for passive investing. Let's just contextualize it, right? So yeah, there must be room for this kind of conversations.
Yeah, I think you brought up a point that struck me across is like, I find like how we run or manage goodwill is how you carry your life, your belief as well. Because like I think maybe before 2022, like when the market is there's a lot of capital and stuff like that, a lot of like business out there, they always carry this term which is growth at all costs.
Yeah.
Means just grow wildly, just anyhow grow without taking care of maybe people or whatever. Whereby right now there's a lot of emotional cost that we are paying right now, a lot of health mental issue right now because we just focusing at growth at all costs. So what I'm hearing here is like growth at all costs is just one of the many ways. Actually, we have other ways that maybe cater to different people. For the community, the people that you like to impact towards is like people who have a lot of different segments of life that you want to take care of. So for example, like family, health, and stuff like that. So growth at all costs might not be the way that you want to go, right?
It's not it's not the be all and end all. So, I mean, just to kind of like add on, it's not that methodology was wrong. I do think that there was a point in time where actually that was probably kind of like a good thing to do because capital was readily available and fairly affordable. And on a balance of things that could make a lot of sense. And to a strong degree, actually, the past 10 years, like it was very possible to kind of raise money with an idea, right? And then, first and foremost, secure resources and then grow with the resources. Yeah, but if we fast forward to today, I guess, yeah, the market is a little bit different. So it's not right or wrong. It's just that now we are afforded the opportunity to, hey, like, kind of like be retrospective about the pros and cons of that model. I mean, I agree with you. It's stressful, right, when you are growing at all costs. I mean, the analogy that we used to have in our head was driving a Ferrari and people just keep pumping petrol in and you keep accelerating.
Okay.
Right. So it's either you reach the promised land or you crash.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like 24/7 driving an F1 car around.
Non-stop. Yeah. So and and the fuel never stops, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is stress. There are also like I guess like good businesses, right, that have grown with that model. So yeah, but I guess in today's day and age, I think especially for us and what we hope for our community, and I think especially like what Eric has mentioned, that it takes a toll mentally, and we're beginning to see, when the market slows down, right, and the adrenaline subsides, right, a lot of people actually now have to struggle with this new reality. Yeah, then there's an opportunity to have a new conversation.
Wow, okay. I believe back then you also have like running this growth at all cost kind of model. Right now there's like so-called a balanced model. So like from all these different experience, what is the lessons that you learn from like different kind of like growth model then? Because I always thought that wow, we back then if you are not in growth at all costs, the business is losing. So how do we like define which one is better, or when you look at company, which one is suitable for this company? So how do you decide? How do you make the judgment?
Oh, so this one like really depends on. I feel like the judgment is different depending on your standpoint and your perspective, lah. So I think what like I just mentioned, right, there are two different perspectives that we can talk about. As an investor, I would look at maybe technology companies that have grown with that model, right, with a little bit more caution, because a lot of the growth was fueled by capital, right? For example, digital marketing, right? It was very possible to spend very aggressively to dominate mindshare, right? With that, because capital is readily available. But if capital is not really available, then we have to reevaluate what the go-to-market or maybe the competitive advantage or the unique strengths that they have to acquire new users or to retain existing users are, if it's not fueled by money, right? So I think there's a new kind of like business model that we need to see whether the big listed tech companies are able to evolve, lah, right, with the new reality of the cost of capital. Uh, However you look at it from a perspective of entrepreneur, right? Yeah, whether the stock market or the shares that I hold, right, goes up in price per share, right, value, up or down, actually there's no real immediate impact to me as an entrepreneur, right? In fact, I am given a little bit more flexibility. I think I do. I mean, we would have shareholder responsibility, right? And obviously, if the company is listed, then you have to do reports, right? Quarterly reports, for example. Yeah, but the perspective is very different from being just a pure shareholder, right? Because there are certain things that are operative by nature that, I have to make this investment, for example, and this investment has a 50%, for example, going to a new market, right? There's a 50% chance that it pays back at this rate, right? But I have to make the decision yes or no, right? And then I can say yes or say no, right? But the way I see that equation, right, is really from an operating perspective. Yeah, ultimately, if you're looking from the other side of the equation, investors, right, well, number one, here, I guess, listen to the narrative and, there'll be certain sentiment around it. The analysts, third party analysts will say yes or no, and then, will make us feel a certain way.
Yeah.
But that's that perspective. Yeah, actually, it doesn't matter as much to the operator because ultimately, as the operator, what we care about is maybe like, costing, yeah, hiring the right people. Yeah, so the perspective is like very, very different. Yeah, and ultimately, if we want to look at maybe outcomes, right? To an investor, like delta or alpha is kind of like where we want to be, right? Buying at a certain price, selling at a certain price. And we would define that as success or
Yeah,
failure,
yeah.
right? But to an operator, actually, it's there are many, many, many layers. For example, as we are raising money or as we are growing a company or when we IPO the company, there are many, many areas whereby it's not just about monetary return. I mean, there are certain avenues for monetary return like along the way. So it's not just about the current share price, right? But I think more importantly, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of character building. We do get better at what we do because we make so many mistakes, right? Yeah, so I would say there's a lot of intangible benefits that come along with it. So it's not purely, it's very different from the purely looking at it as an investment or return on investment perspective.
Oh, wow. I'd like to take this opportunity to go even further right here because you're at that point. So I think in terms of investor looking at pure returns, yeah, obviously investor would like to make returns. But recently there's a lot of talks around ESG. Yeah, so like as an operator, obviously, other than making profits and then like giving salaries to the team, also giving impact to the society, like lessen our carbon footprint in our environment. So all these things come into play as for investor. So right now, if investor would like to dabble into ESG, so what is your thought then?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because I guess like there's a lot of like talk about ESG. I mean, with my finite knowledge, lah, right, and maybe with just thinking about it personally, I feel I quite welcome it, honestly. And the reason is because in the past, people were very comfortable kind of like thinking that a company exists only for the sake of shareholders, right? I feel what ESG introduces to the equation is that we have to think about stakeholders, right? It broadens understanding. We have to think about supply chain, right? Who are our suppliers, and are they ethical? Do they hire ethically? People care about whether there's child labor or no child labor, for example, that kind of things. So in the past, there used to be this feeling that all of these other stakeholders that are outside shareholders fall under CSR, lah,
Yeah.
right? Corporate social
Yeah,
responsibility,
I
and
just go to donate something
yeah,
or just one day service kind of thing.
and clean out the beach or something, right? And then it's used like primarily, I guess, for narrative building or for branding, lah. Yeah, and I guess consequently budgets were allocated as such, right, for that purpose. What ESG what the ESG conversation has brought to the table is that now people want to know in a more holistic way, right? Kind of like there are different scopes, right? Scope one, scope two, scope three, lah. So, how far down holistically is your organization adding or value adding to all stakeholders, including the environment, including people, including sustainability, like all these like layers. Yeah. And the big breakthrough is that because now ESG, there is a scoring behind it, and people begin to care about it. In IPO prospectus, right, they list it. I think recently IFRS also has guidelines to kind of like encourage people to report this. Suddenly as commercial value, right? So there is a commercial implication of whether I do my ESG well or not well, right? So I feel it aligns kind of like it more tightly aligns shareholder interest and stakeholder interests. Yeah, so I think this is a good thing because like a long-term sustainability requires, I guess, like understanding the stakeholders lah, broadly.
When come back to like goodwill, so one of the things that I feel right now what we're doing right now and seeing right now is really creating a social impact for people who like to really do well in their finances, do well in investing. So what is the visions that you have for goodwill, maybe in like maybe 5 years too long, maybe 3 years? How do you like to see these social impacts going to like bring forwards to them then?
Wow. Okay. I'd like to take the perspective of maybe like we drill it down to maybe the individuals that can help, lah. And this is very unlike maybe some of the previous companies that I've helped with, whereby our metrics would be market share or like absolute numbers, right? Number of users, for example. But I think for us, like if we can create like a product and service, right, that can fundamentally help our users, even if it's one user, right, to be able to better structure their family finances. And that can have, significant impact on their parents, the way they manage their parents' retirement accounts, their children's educational accounts. I think as long as we can do it for one individual and one family in 3 years and do it well, right, I already consider that a success. But I fundamentally, I'm of the belief, right, that if we can do that one well, and if we productize and automate it well, this would be something that we can kind of like spread to the rest of the world. Yeah, but a caveat to that obviously is that we are not a charity, right? Because we are purposefully not a charity because we do not believe that the way that we want to deliver this value is by fundraising from the public and then working with the government, other government charities, and then delivering this value in that manner. We still believe that there is room and a benefit of being a profit driven company, right? So that we focus on really delivering value, and it must be of commercial value, right? There must be validation behind the things that we're doing, right? And there must be dollar value validation behind what we're doing. I think that kind of keeps us real, keeps us grounded as well, right?
Yeah, we
Because it,
cannot doing free thing all. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not that it's wrong. It's just that the truth of the world is that there are a lot of choices. I do think that companies and teams do well amidst competition, right? And competition is commercial, and that's the freer market, and that's where innovation can come out, right? Yeah, so we challenge ourselves with these questions, right? How do we create a viable, commercially viable, sustainable business model with the core intent that if this thing is sustainable, right, we can scale our impact to people. Yeah, so in 3 years' time, I'm not sure, or I'm not so bothered about maybe how many individuals that we can impact, right? I feel that is something that should come naturally. It should come as a result, not because we targeted it, right? I would like us in the initial our nascent years, like the first 3 years, right, of our life, like of our company's life, to really focus down to the individual. Yeah, deliver outsized value to the individual, intimately understand the individual, right? Have conversations, yeah, and subsequently when we get that right, then let's talk about go to market after. Yeah, but that might be year 4, year 5.
Oh, wow. Year 4, year 5. So it's still another 4 to 5 years
Yeah,
away.
we're in this for the long haul.
Okay, so it come to our of this episode. Junxian, do you have any words to our community then? Like any things that you share with them, like to Goodwill?
Oh no, I guess like maybe Thanksgiving primarily. Yeah, we do have a sizable community already in our community app. We have like I would say like a decent number of users in our stock analysis app as well. Yeah, I mean, just want a word of thanks to everybody that has been kind of like giving us a soft pat on the back, lah. I mean, really encourages the team and I to know that maybe the hard work that we're putting is in the right direction. And maybe like an ask would be if you guys have any like feedback regarding the app, good and bad, I think all of it is feedback. And we do need feedback to be able to get better at what we do. Yeah. So yeah, maybe an ask would be if anyone has like feedback, please do feel free to send it through our feedback channels. Yeah, that would be very meaningful for us in our early years.
All right. Thank you, Jun Xian. So this is our first episode of AML Ask My Leader. So if you have any like feedbacks, let me know as well. So in the end of the day, AML, what we want to bring across is the understanding about business, understanding about investing, and also how does it apply to our life. So I hope today, I think this session is really a lot of golden nuggets by Jun Xian on how business have been run, on how we like to impact or how we like to give to our community. And in the end, we also like to hear from you guys. So thanks everyone. We will see you in our AML episode 2. Thank you. Bye bye.